strong.
Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to another deck profile. In this deck profile we'll be going around a mono green commander known as Radagast the Brown. I've actually had this deck in the making for quite a while, and since his reveal in the Lord of the Rings I've really wanted to play him. So yeah, so obviously it's mono green Radagast the Brown, it's not the green blue Radagast. I just felt that making birds and beasts wasn't gonna get the deck anywhere, so I decided why not build a mono green. I'm actually really enjoying the mono green deck. So obviously, for those who don't know what Radagast does, whenever Radagast the Brown or another creature enters the battlefield, you may reveal the top card to your library. So you may look at the top X card of your library and you reveal a creature that has a creature type that's not currently on the battlefield. For example, if I saw a wizard or another avatar in my hand, I cannot pick that card, but if I saw a beast, I can pick the beast. Effectively, yeah. It's good because I have no other avatars nor wizards in the deck, which is great, but I do have doubles of certain creatures, just because I think they're really good, and the chance of me seeing them all at one time is a little bit less than should, really. But yeah, Radagast Brown, 4-drop, 2/5. You're never going to actually kill anyone with it. I say that, my first ever game I had with Radagast, I killed my opponent Zelly playing the Karma Dinosaurs. I one-punched her with a unblockable Radagast with Trample, which was like 36 something. Never mind. That's nuts for a first game. But I've had multiple games since then, and I've really liked how this deck is and how it plays. So we'll get straight into the creatures. We are running a Sakura Tribe Elder because it makes sure we get as many lands as possible. I am running a second snake, bringing this card because it says it can't be countered and creature spells I control can't be countered. So my green spells are A-OK, they have protection from the blue effectively. I do run 2 humans, being Ogre of Orm, which allows me to look at the top of my deck at any time, and I may play lands from the top of my library. And if I have creatures that have 3, each creature has a different power. As long as you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, you may cast spells, and it may cast creature spells on top of your library. I think this is really good. Usually I use the look at top card of the deck, just in case I see a creature I really like, or a land, especially a land, because I'm going through so many creatures, I'm not seeing lots of land. I'm kind of revolving on my draw for turn and other cards in the deck that allows me to draw. For the second human is a Hellpack Piper, which itself can't be countered. You may pay 2 and put a creature from your hand onto the battlefield, which then triggers Radagast to go off. If it is stuck in its werewolf form, though, it is kind of sucky, but for what the card does, it really helps with the deck, because we have a lot of big mana guys because of how Radagast works. For the next pair, we have a Elvish Piper, which works the same way as Hellpack Piper, but except 1 green, and you can activate it as an instant, while Hellpack Piper is a sorcery. I should probably explain what its second side does, because it is in fact a flip card. So whenever this creature enters the battlefield or transforms into a werewolf, Wild Song Howler, reveal a creature card from among any. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Yeah, look at the top 6 cards, then you may put a creature and put it into your hand, put the rest of the bottom of your library in an order. This hardly ever gets flipped because opponents are usually casting spells. They only flip, like if a player casts no spells during their own turn, it becomes night, and so forth, it becomes day. Out of anything, I kind of want to see this because it's a one green tab per guy in the battlefield. And for the second elf, there's a Beast Whisperer. They help me with the draws, because whenever I cast a creature, I draw a card. So this card will always trigger first, and then Radagast triggers second, because Radagast is only when it enters the battlefield. Second to last pairing, we have Conga, Titanape. When it enters the battlefield, it fights up to one target creature you don't control. Whenever he attacks, he destroys target artifact or enchantment, depending on player controls. Pay 2, return target human you control to its owner's hand, and then this gains indestructible. I'm never doing that because I only have 2 humans, a Worm and a Hellpack Piper. That's really never gonna go off. And then we have a Silverback Elder. Silverback Elder is really nice because its ability goes off when you cast a creature. So whenever you cast a creature, choose one. Destroy a target artifact or enchantment. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them into the battlefield tapped. You put the rest on the bottom of the library in random order, or you gain 4 life. I always like the popping in artifact or enchantment card is pretty nice. Plus being able to look at the top cards of my library for a creature put into my hand. I'm sorry, for a land, sorry. Into the land of the battlefield. It's still putting a land even better because I have a lot of really big mana cost guys. And now we get to, I think this is my last doubles. I am running Nala Kingdai, the indestructible god from Thrones of Belgrade, Thrones Beyond Death. So, as long as your devotion to green is less than 5, it isn't a creature. You may pay 3, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature, you can add it to your hand. And oh yeah, creature spells cost 1 card less to play, so again, it's able to get my guys out a lot faster and for less mana cost, which is great. And for the last god, being the last double, I run the new god from Caverns of Ixalan. Now these gods, I think these gods are really dumb. My own opinion, they are quite dumb. Because the only way to get rid of these, because when they die they become a land. The only way to kind of deal with these is to exile them. So what the green god does is it's a 6/5 5-drop with trample. When it deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of your library. You may put a creature card and or a land card among them onto the battlefield, and the rest go to the bottom of the library in a random order. That is really nice, being able to, if this ever does trample, then I am making sure that this is gonna be really massive, so I can get to look at my options pretty much to see what I want to cast. And it's land side. Temple of Cultivation. It taps for green. Obviously with these cards, they enter tapped when they die, so you can't use it during the turn it's destroyed, but that's kind of fair because these cards are kind of dumb. So it taps for green, and then you may pay 3, tap, transform Temple of Cultivation, activate only if you control 10 or more permanents, and only as a sorcery. That's really good because it says permanents, it doesn't say non-land permanents. So if you got 10 lands, during your turn you can pay 3 and flip this guy back. It does have summoning sickness, I'm pretty sure. But yeah. The gods are really nuts. So those are kind of it for the doubles, the creatures I have double types of. I'm running one Elysian Courted, just a mana dork pretty much. Taps for a mana of any color. If I have a creature power 4 greater, it taps 2 of any one color instead. Mana Gorger Hydra. Trample or 1/1. Whenever a player casts a spell, it gains a 1/1 counter. This card could be very, very big, which is why it's usually a little. Does anyone have a Source of Plowshare in hand? Let's find out. Because I'd rather this get exiled than something else. A Propus Innkeeper for the treasure token and gaining life every time my creature enters my battlefield. Cemetery Prowler. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, you exile a card from a graveyard. Spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each card type they share with cards exiled with Cemetery Prowler. When I first used this card, I misread it. I thought it was my graveyard, but it just says a graveyard. Yep. Or attacks, exile a card from a graveyard, so I can choose my opponent's graveyard if I don't have a sorcery, or a creature, or an instant. Card's really good for 3 mana. Next is Tusky, because we have a lot of tramplers. Let's hope we can rebuild our hand with lands and sorceries. Because whenever a creature, if you don't know what Tusky does, whenever a creature deals damage to my opponent, well, combat damage, I draw a card. And since a lot of my guys either have trample or give stuff trample, that's going to be a lot of cards in my hand again. We have Gore Claw, Terror of Quasima. Creatures you control power 4 or greater cost 2 less to cast. Whenever Gore Claw attacks, each creature you control with power 4 or greater gets a 1/1, gets +1/+1, and gains trample to the end of turn. So again, big boys that deal trample damage pretty much. That's kind of like how I win the games, by beating over everyone and doing trample damage. That's kind of is the thing with Radagast. A lot of trample, a lot of big boys. That's kind of how you play it. I haven't yet found other way to play Radagast, but so far I am enjoying how the deck is. They have Renter, called To the Hunt. I really like the. I actually do have another copy of Keen Die in the Constellation artwork, because I really like the Constellation artwork. It's why, if you guys saw a couple of my rat decks, I've got the Constellation Swamps. I just really like them. So, its power is equal to my devotion to greed. Each other creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it. So, pretty good. It doesn't count itself, so it'll still be like a something free. But everything else entering the battlefield 1/1 counter, for example, Tusky could be a 2/2 instead of being a 1/1. Never we have Endless Web. Whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, I create a 1/2 green spider with reach. Just allowing me to gain tokens just in case flies, because green doesn't have that much flyers. I might have 1 flyer in the main deck. I say might, I know I have at least 1. Okay. The next card is actually, if you guys remember at the beginning of the video, I said I killed Zelly with commander damage with my commander. This is actually part of it. I can't really, at the moment, I can't afford a what's it called? Green gain, creature control gain X when it enters the battlefield. Grey Hoof Behemoth, that's it. Since I still do not have the mons for Grey Hoof Behemoth, I found something that I like a little bit more. It's a Pathbreaker Ibex. When it attacks, sure, I've got to wait a turn for it to attack, but if I've got like boots on it, it can attack now. When Pathbreaker Ibex attacks, creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X to the end of the turn, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. That's some big damage. I can't remember if Grey Hoop Behemoth gives your guys trample, but I found this as a really cheap alternative. I think it's like £10 at the moment, like 10 in between 10 and 15, I think. So it's a great alternative to Grey Hoop Behemoth. And yeah, using that, and I think another card got me to like one-pop someone. Our next is Asher, Soul of the Wild. I almost said Breath of the Wild, because you guys don't know, on my YouTube and the fourth Twitch, I've been streaming Tears of the Kingdom. So, Asher of the Wild's power toughness is equal to the number of lands I control. Non-token creatures you control are forests in addition to other types. So a bunch of my creatures become mana dorks. Still pretty good. Sorry if I'm yawning, it's like 9:15 at night. So, and if you think I'm done with the creatures, oh no, this is quite a creature heavy deck. I think I got like 28 or 26 creatures. I'll as always, I'll leave a link to the deck list in Archdeck in the link in the description below. Well, the link to Archdeck anyway. Next we have, because Radagast is loyal to creatures, I thought it would be fair to put in a loyal guardian of my own. A 4/4 5-drop trample, and beginning of combat on my turn, if I control my commander, it puts a 1/1 counter on each creature I control, including himself, because then he becomes a 5/5. This card's really good. I really like it a lot. I started playing green in Commander, even though it's green-white. The deck had a lot of green in it, so I kind of grew to love green a lot. That has kind of faded throughout the years because I started playing more black decks, but Radagast has kind of relit my fire for green recently. And that's something that Tree Folks didn't do for me for some reason. Maybe because I think it was The Hobbit. I was watching The Hobbit, I got really excited to see Radagast. It's such a good film. I do like The Hobbits. I do like the Hobbit films. Okay, oh no, I've got 2 flyers. How did I forget? How did I forget the busted card known as Old Gnarbone? A 7-drop 7/7 flying. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, create that many treasure tokens. This card is really, really dumb and really good. To think I pulled 2. I got lucky in that. I found I wanted a bundle, and did I buy a booster box? Well, a set box? I'm pretty sure I did a set box. Pretty sure I even did a video on it. But yeah, really, really good, especially since a lot of my creatures have trample and can gain trample because of Pathbreaker Ibex. Next we have Thorn Mammoth, a 6/6 trample that when it enters the battlefield, it fights up to. When it or another creature enters the battlefield under my control, this fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. So it might not last a turn, it might just be able to get rid of problematic cards. Like if there's a fly I want dead, I can get my elephant to smack it. Next, Twin Grove. He followed me from my tree deck to this deck because I do really like him. Especially since I'm effectively gaining like an extra copy of himself, so I effectively got 2 in the deck. But yeah, enters the battlefield, Sorry, his power and toughness is equal to number 4, so I control, which is fine because every single land in this, well, every single basic at least is a forest. And when it enters the battlefield, it creates a Tree-folk warrior. With again, its power is equal to its toughness. So this card could be massive. Next, I am running a End Rave Forerunners. I'm running my boar. This boar is actually really good. It's a 7/7 with Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. When it enters the battlefield, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain Vigilance and Trample to the end of turn. And because he has Haste, he can also smack himself. I do have a lot of... this deck is built around big boys and fight cards. If you guys haven't noticed, I got a bunch of fight cards. Yeah. So, the next fight card, it's a card that had a recent reprint in Caverns of Ixalan Dino deck, Velocity Rampeter. And it's technically its second reprint. We have the Apex Ultrasaur, which became extremely cheap. I got this one for like £7. If you guys don't know what Apex Ultrasaur is, whenever it's dealt damage, it fights target creature you don't control. I'm sorry, that's the second effect. First effect is when he enters the battlefield, it fights up to one creature you don't control, and then with Enrage, whenever Apex Ultrasaur is dealt damage, it fights up to one target creature you don't control. This card can just keep going until it's dead. What's a really cool thing is if you give this indestructible, that's killing everything on the board that can be killed. Anything that's like 10/10 or less is going to die, and Apex Ultrasaur is just going to stay here. My Stompy never dies. I do have cards to do that. I'm pretty sure, like Tamiyo Keeping, Heroic Intervention, I've got cards like that kind of does that. The only thing I don't really have in the deck is recovery, like getting cards back from the bin. Green doesn't have a lot of that. That's a lot. That's mainly a black thing. But no, green doesn't. I do have a few cards that allows me to put my grave into the deck. I'm not running that at the moment because I don't. With Radagast, the games aren't going that long. My turns might take a little bit of time because I'm going through all different type of chains and effects and abilities, but usually the game doesn't last that long for board wipe to become necessary because my opponents are dead. Okay, now the second flyer. A Hornet Queen. When it enters the battlefield, it creates 4 1/1 insects with Flying and Death Touch. Itself has Flying and Death Touch. So I do in fact have 6 flyers. Technically 6 flyers. Yeah. And I'm finally at the last creature. Kodama of the East Tree. A 6/6 with reach. Whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under your control, if it wasn't put there by this ability, you may put a permanent card from your hand with equal or lesser mana CMC from your hand onto the battlefield. So if I cast an old Gnarbone, I can pull in cards that are either 7 or lower CMC onto the battlefield, which then helps with Radagast. So yeah, that's kind of it. A fat stack of creatures, because this is a creature happy deck. That's kind of what you have to do when you're playing Radagast. So then we get to the artifacts. We have a Soul Ring because we're running a commander deck. Fort Vessel for their unlimited hand size because we're getting a lot of guys in our hand, and I'd rather not discard them, so unlimited hand size. An Emerald Medallion to make my green spells cost 1 cast less. The Green Monument that allows green creatures to cost 1 less whenever I cast a creature spell. Target creature gains a +2/+2 and trample to the end of the turn. One of the most important artifacts in the deck. It's a monster manual. So you can choose to pay free and adventure it. So adventure is you would pay the mana cost here for like zoological study. So this will get exiled and you mill 5 cards and return a creature from your grave to your hand. And then when you cast it for its actual cost being 4, you get paid to tap and put a creature from your hand onto the battlefield. It's another Howlpack Piper slash it's another version of Howlpack Piper and Elvis Mystic. I don't know why that name was hard for me to say. Yeah, really good. Next is a new artifact. I say new. Came out of Wild of Eldraine. So the last set, not the current set, being excellent. So Throne of Eldraine is a 5-drop artifact with, when it enters the battlefield, you choose a colour. It can tap to add 4 of that colour, but that can only be cast on mono-coloured spells. Or you can pay 3 and tap and draw 2 cards. Spend only mana of the chosen colour to activate this ability, so it has to be green. In a mono deck, this card's really good. I can't see why people aren't running this in mono color decks, because the card is really dumb. I didn't have it in to be fair, I didn't have it in Elish Norn. To be fair, I didn't even have it. I bought it for Radagast because I thought, well, I have enough mana to cast like my 7/7s and my 8/8s. No, I'll buy a Throne of Eldraine. Okay. Now, for the second to last artifact, we have a Caged Sun. Choose a colour, creature of the chosen colour gets +1/+1, and whenever a land taps for the chosen colour, it adds additional land. So my 1 forest taps for 2 forests. Well, it gives me 2 mana. And then the last artifact, we are running a Great Henge. Because it costs X less, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. And it taps to add 2 green and you gain 2 life, and whenever a creature enters your battlefield, a non-token creature enters your battlefield, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on it and draw a card. So again, more green draw. Like, I am starting to like mono decks a lot more. I've had my rats for like, what, 4 or 5 years now. I've been playing rats, so I do like monocolor decks. They're much easier for my brain to kind of comprehend and work, because I've got quite a slow brain. So, planeswalkers. I only run 2, and they're both Vivians. We've got the Vivian from the 2020 set, Ikora, Lair Behemoths. So I have running this because it allows you to cast, you may look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may cast creature spells from top of your library. You have +1 to create a 3/3 beast with either Reach, Trample, or Vigilance. -2, when you cast your next creature spell this turn, search your library for a creature card with a lesser converted mana cost and put it onto the battlefield. Then shuffle your library. That's really strong. Like, I will just play this card and -2 straight off the back, so I can, when I cast a bigger guy, bam, I'm searching for another guy and that's coming onto the battlefield, so I get 2 triggers of Radagast. And then the last Vivian is Vivian, Champion of the Wilds. Creature spells you cast had flash. You may +1 until your next turn. Up to 1 target creature gains Vigilance and Reach. Neg 2 is look at top 3 cards of your library. Exile 1 face down. And put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. In any order. For as long as it remains exiled, you may look at that card and you may cast it if it's a creature. So again, a lot of casting guys from top of deck, a lot of trying to get as much as I can on board pretty much. Oh wow, I'm sorry, I forgot about these 3 artifacts. Huh. I don't know how I could forget about my Swifties, my Lightning Greaves, and my Sting. How could I forget about them? Because this card is really insane when it comes to a Hellpack Piper or an Elvish Piper. Because at the beginning of combat, the equipped creature untaps. And it also gives haste and +1/+1, so it could tap to put a creature in my hand. Yeah, this card's dumb. I used it in Marrow, and Marrow became very, very much an issue. Sorry, I completely forgot to do these ones. Huh. Now we get to the instances. So, a Wily Tutor to search for a card, and put on, well, search for a creature, put it at the top of my library. Tamio Safekeeping to target a creature, and it gains Hexproof and Indestructible to end turn, and I gain 2 life. Heroic Intervention that gives permanents I control Hexproof and Indestructible. Entist Restoration, a card that you have seen from my Dawn Siege Tower deck profile. You sack a land to pull in 2 basic lands in the battlefield tapped, or if you control a creature of power 4 or greater, you put 3 basic lands onto the battlefield tapped. The next card is a card that I think is really, really dumb in a mono green deck with a lot of basic lands, and that's an Early Harvest. Target player untaps all basic lands he or she controls. Yeah, that's it. I can do this during my opponent's turn, just so I have all of my mana ready for all my instances I'm about to cast. Or if I just want to continue on doing my turn and just cast more guys. Next, we have a Return of the Wild Speaker. Choose 1, draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-humans you control, or non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 to end turn. I am definitely drawing. I'm definitely going to draw a lot of cards. And the last instance, we have a Beast Within. Pretty simple. Destroy target permanent. It's a control creates a 3/3 beast. Now for sorceries. To help with both land search and fighting opponent's creatures, we have one of my favorites, Bushwhack. So choose 1. Search your library for a basic land card, reveal it and put it into your hand, shuffle. Or target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. All that for 1 mana. Sure, you can't choose both, you have to choose 1, but I think that's really good for 1 mana card. Next we have Nature's Law. Search your library for forest, put it onto the battlefield. Pretty simple. It's the same thing with 3 visits. Search your library for a forest card, put it onto the battlefield. Cultivate. Search my library for 2 basic lands, put 1 on the battlefield tapped, 1 to my hand. Kodama's Reach. It's a cultivate, pretty much. It does the exact same thing. Traverse the Outlands. Search your library for up to X basic lands, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. And then they get onto the battlefield tapped. So if I've got Apex Social, I pull in 10 basic lands onto the battlefield tapped. This card's really good for like landfall decks. I've never really ran a landfall deck. This actually came in my Cat Commander deck from 2017. Okay, the next sorcery is Green Sun's Twilight. Reveal the top X plus 1 card of your library. Choose a creature and or a land among them, put those into your hand, and the rest to the bottom of your library in a random order. If X is 5 or more, instead put the chosen cards onto the battlefield or into your hand, and the rest of the bottom of your library in a random order. So again, I can pull in creatures and land from among the cards that I've revealed. With the amount of mana I have, that X is always going to be at least 5 or more. And then we have a Commune with Nature. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You reveal a creature card, put it into your hand, and the rest to the bottom of your library in a random order. Again, allowing me to look at top cards of my deck and choose what I want and what I want to not keep. Green Sun's Zenith. 1 green, pay X, pull a guy from the deck onto the battlefield. So if I can pay altogether 11 mana, 1 green and 10 for the X, I'm putting in an Apex Ultrasaur or anything else from my deck. Really good that this card's only like 11 to 12 pound. It's not really that much, and the card's really busted. Next we have another draw spell. Draw equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. You may cast a spell with mana value 5 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. It won't cast a lot of my creatures. It might cast like the small ones I get, because a lot of them are big. But being able to draw more cards is always good. So that's it for the sorceries. Now we go on to the enchantments. I actually have a fair few enchantments. So, begin. Garruk's Uprising. When it enters the battlefield, you control a creature with power 4 or greater. You draw a card. Creatures you control have trample. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under control, draw a card. Yeah. And then Tribute to the Royal Tree. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under control, draw a card if its power is 3 or greater, otherwise you put 2 1/1 counters on them. So effectively Tusky could become a 3/3, which is kind of funny. We have Virtue of Strength. It does have an adventure, so you can choose to pay 1 green, exile it, and return a land or creature from your bin to your hand. Or you can cast it for 7, and if you tap a land for mana, it produces 3 times that much mana instead. So one forest can produce 3 green. On Natural Growth, which at the beginning of your combat, it doubles the power toughness of each of your creatures until the end of turn. Which is really good because it's for the end of turn. They'll still be big during, like, after combat. Basically in main 2, they're still big. I'm running Court of Garenbrig. So when it enters the battlefield, I become the Monarch. Beginning of your upkeep, distribute 2 1/1 counters among up to 2 target creatures. If you're the Monarch, you double the amount of 1/1 counters on each creature you control. So if I don't get smacked during my opponent's turn, I'm still a Monarch. Instead of putting 1/1 counters, I get to pretty much double the amount of 1/1 counters on my creatures. It's really good. Because all my guys are big, I don't think I'm ever going to get attacked. And then we have this card. I can never say the word because it confuses the hell out of me. But it is a 5-drop enchantment. It gives my creatures hexproof. And I may pay 2 and regenerate target creature. And that's not even a tap. I can just pay 2 and regenerate my creatures. For the last enchantment, we have Elven Cortus. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast creature spells on top of your library at any time, and my creatures become mana dorks that tap to have 1 mana of any color. because we like our mana. We like mana dorks in green, don't we? And then we get to the mad stack of lands, which a lot of it is just basic lands. So we have a gingerbread cabin. Taps for green. It comes in untapped unless you control. Comes in tapped unless I control 3 or more other forests. And if it comes in untapped, I create a food token. We have a Mosswalk Bridge with Hideaway 4. You may pay green and tap, play the exile card without paying mana cost if I control a total power 10 or greater. Then we have Castle Gambrig. Comes in tapped unless I control forest. Taps for green and may pay 4. Tap to add 6 green mana, only to cast creature spells and activate abilities of creatures. Next we have Fangorn Forest. All lands become forest in addition to other types. Then we have a Shrine to Nyx. Taps for colors. You may pay 2 tap and add to your mana pool an amount of mana, any mana of that color. So I choose green. If I've got a total devotion of 4, I add 4 green to my mana pool. And one of the cards I pulled from one of my packs from Canvas Ixalan is a Sunken Citadel. I think this card is really great with cards like Shrine to Nyx, and this card, basically any land that has a like pay mana tap activate. Because it enters the battlefield tap, but as it enters you choose a color, adds 1 mana of the chosen color, or you tap it to add 2 mana of the chosen color, spent only to activate abilities of land sources. So yeah. It also helps for like War Room and Rogue's Passage too. I'm wanting a Temple of the False Gods to just add 2 cards mana to my mana pool. A Relinquished Tower for more unlimited hand size. A War Room to draw. A Rogue's Passage to guarantee that my opponents can't block my creature. And a Mirrored Landscape, just so I can pay 2, sack this, and put 2 basic lands onto the battlefield tapped. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 basic forests. Of course, that's not the number you guys have to run, that's just the number I like to run. But yeah, this is a deck that I've been wanting to play since I saw Radagast in the Magic spoilers. And yeah, I really enjoy the deck, and I think you guys will also enjoy the deck. Obviously, you can tweak my build if you wish. If you want to add in more cards that put guys back from the bin, feel free to. I just don't have the space to put in cards like that. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, then feel free to like it and subscribe if you want to see some more Magic Gathering or Pokemon videos. I do have plans for more videos next week. As always, I try to upload up to 2 videos per week. There might be a time where I might only upload 1 video. So just aware of that. So yeah, hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day or night or whenever you're watching this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.